gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. Look at
I want to move on to the part two, which is built for winter. So blockchain cryptocurrency is largely unregulated, right? Let's hypothetically say that the regulators come, and who knows, they make they will exactly. So I mean, how, just to set off this part two, is your business built for winter and how to pull that off? Like, how are you approaching that scenario? Like, if the regulators come and go, listen, Civic, you can't do what you're doing anymore, and they hit you with a big stick, like, are you built for that, and how are you going to react and make decisions around that?
So the first thing is that we are built for it in the sense that we're a portable company. We can go anywhere in the world. So if the regulators in the US came down on us, we'd move to Switzerland or somewhere else. The reality is that the business that we built is very much about regulatory compliance. So we're making sure that AML laws, FICA, RICA, all that stuff is complied with digitally. So there's no reason for them to shut us down, because we actually represent progress and improvements in the way things are done, and we help them catch bad guys. So it's not something I worry about. In terms of the sort of crypto winter, I mean, we've been planning this for a while, so we're very long on cash. So we have a lot of cash in our books, more than crypto, and we have enough runway to last through any sort of significant long-term downturn in crypto. I think also just we're not silly about our money. We're not spendthrift. We definitely have a low burn compared to other crypto companies. We have a small team. We have a team in South Africa, about 8-9 people. So we keep our costs low. We have teams around the world, South America, etc. So we have a bit of an outsourced labor approach, partially. There's pros and cons to that, but it keeps our costs low. So keeping a low burn, by the way, for a startup, especially when you're making money, is super critical. It's I can't emphasize that enough. People who spend a ton of money doing this stuff, it's kind of crazy. Like, so, it's nuts.
Yeah. So how much, I mean, what's a reason, Jason, I mean, it's probably best suited to you because you consult in the space. Like, what's a reasonable amount of runway to have? I mean, we're all subject to the veils of poor market economies, thank God for Cyril Ramaphosa at least doing something for entrepreneurs and SMEs. And I'll want your views on that for you in a sec. But Jason, like, cash flow is a big deal, right? How much runway is reasonable to last through a winter? I know how long's a piece of string here, but I mean, like, what's your view on that?
I hate to always pull the context card. It's so context specific, but I'd say a general rule, you want to try and have 6 to 12 months runway. We scaled our company on 1 month runway, literally month after month, bootstrapping at 1 month runway. But if you're going to scale through ups and downs, by the time you become a mature company and you're no longer scaling regardless of the cycle, ideally 6 or 12 months. But I mean, what Vinny said couldn't be more important. I mean, step one, get the basics right. Operate lean. I mean, don't get the Goldman Sachs offices. Don't splash out on the Bentley. Like, really keep your costs as low as they could be, even once it looks like we're killing it. Keep the costs as low as they can be. And then secondly, keep things as variable as they can be. Do you want to avoid locking in fixed costs and variabilize everything, even at a premium? Because actually the greatest premium is on flexibility and agility. And so, I mean, obviously that's a dynamic balance you want to manage, but, keep overheads as low as they can be. And then, of course, manage 6 to 12 month runway if you can.
But sometimes you can't keep your costs low. So if I want to scale, I need people, right? So I'm in the media business. I need editors. I need guys who understand how to produce content, tell stories, storyboard stuff, etc. It's a people intensive business. And so I need people, right? So, and of course you're ambitious and you don't really consider, loads of us don't because we're in the trenches every day. So we don't think long term. It's almost like, oh shit, the price of Bitcoin's dropped. Maybe I should sell and then it's too late. It's like, you that guy, right? Yeah. So I want to go over to Vuyo. I mean, why don't we consider the winter periods? You know what I'm trying to say? And when you look at consulting to 46,000 businesses who largely actually fund their entire businesses through your platform, and you basically broker deals to all the big banks. I mean, like cash flow, people intensive stuff. What's your insights or advice there around planning for winter and cash flow?
Yeah, so a lot of SMEs don't understand how critical cash flow is. They place revenue right at the top, then profits, then cash flow, where literally cash flow is the top thing you should be worried about. A lot of them, when you say don't plan for winter, I guess you get so stuck into your business. I think all of us do. You're the tea lady, the driver, what else? The secretary, PA, everything. And you get so consumed in selling the business. And what you need to do, I think Jason and Vinny touched on it, is I say you have to change your mindset. That's one key thing, because there's different stages in your businesses. You start off as the entrepreneur, then the next stage, you're now the business leader. How do you outsource? How do you get more staff? It's a totally different mindset that you need to have. And critically, we forget to put in processes quite early on. And those are the fundamentals that will build for winter. The foundation of the house. We're so busy putting on the roof, the windows, the awnings, and we forget about the foundation. If that's not solid in terms of your systems and processes, you're doomed. Even in good times, even if you scale, your business will implode. So, and then a lot of people go, yeah, but systems, processes take a lot of time, admin, etc. And I go, well, it's vital. For those winter months, you'll start to understand how important that foundational element of your business was. How do you hire more people? How do you systemize a lot of the things that are in your business? And a lot of businesses can do that. I met a biokineticist. By the way, I'm a podiatrist by profession, who then became an insurance broker and so forth and so forth. So I've gone through the full gamut of different industries. And I met this guy and I said to him, okay, so how are you doing? Well, you're now on your third, fourth practice. And literally, he deconstructed his whole entire business. I mean, you talk about time and service. The hairdresser, you've only got so much time. Specifically, if you're not in a technology business, right? So you've only got 24 hours. If you're a lawyer and you need to see 8 people, you can only see 8 people. How do you scale that? Interesting enough.
More lawyers, obviously.
Pardon? Yeah, more lawyers. And,
so when the winter comes, you're screwed, right?
You're screwed. And there's another business I'll talk about that called Caveat Legal and how they were able to scale their business. Literally from there, I'll talk about that business. Group of lawyers.
Vinny's laughing here. Vinny, I need that comment at the end. I'll let you go.
A group of lawyers who then looked at the legal profession differently. And there are a lot of guys. And how do you deconstruct your business to say, okay, I need more people, but I can't afford more people. So do I outsource them? Do I have, there's certain parts in your business that you can outsource if you're really smart about it. Work with partners. I mean, I think Vinny talked about it. I mean, we also subscale. How we've been able to get out there is literally through corporate partners. They license our tool. We get into their markets. So I haven't needed a VC. Our other partners are these entrepreneurial groups. One has 100,000 entrepreneurs. Another one has 83 entrepreneurs. So literally I'm plugging into existing markets. Why do I have to market? Why do I have to build a whole marketing team? In fact, in most cases, I don't want. I call my staff headaches. in most times. But building staff, we all get hamstrung by this glamorous view, I need to have 20, 30 people. I need to be employing 100 people, have the fanciest offices. Those are just unnecessary overheads. A lot of it also driven by ego and pride. So look at your business quite critically. You'll find there's a lot of things that you can outsource and actually increase the profitability of your business.
Matt, I need to come in there. If you think about outsourcing your accounting, you can go to
Exactly.
the beancounter.co.za. And if you still don't have enough cash, we also do funding, invoice financing, and against property.
There you go.
Shameless
Boom.
plug.
Drops the mic. Drops the mic. Round of applause. Vinny, I've got to let you go, so cognizance of time there. Any final remarks? Wisdom, pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, and look, I actually agree with Vusi on what he was saying there. One of the things I will add is that this is probably the toughest lesson for every entrepreneur in the room. And I think to my fellow panelists, don't take this the wrong way, but stop wasting time talking to investors. It's literally the biggest waste of time that entrepreneurs do. Like, you should have a runway. You should say, we have enough money to last us 12 months. This is our plan for execution. Don't try and grow faster than that. Try and get the product right. Try and get all these things to line up. And along the way, you're going to have investors wanting to chat and come for coffee and meet and talk shit and waste your time. And it's never going to amount to anything. The percentage chance of closing a deal is really, really low. So, like, a lot of entrepreneurs just literally waste their time talking to investors constantly. Then they were involved in like term sheet discussions and wanting to invest and this. And it's a big distraction. And you don't actually need the money at that point in time, but you're so worried that you're going to run out in 12 months or 6 months. Like, I've run businesses down to the last day, and you get capital in. So like, even when you have a month or two, I'd say I start getting worried when I'm down to like 3 months. Okay, then I start talking to investors. But if you can go raise like 1 or 2 million rand or R500,000 and keep your costs low and run for 12 months, 18 months, don't have these constant investment the ad hoc discussions. Now, what you should do is have a proper strategy to raise money. So you should say, okay, this is our plan to execute the next 12 months. If anyone comes to us in between there, we just say, sorry, we can't chat right now. We're busy focusing on the business, on the metrics. We're probably not a good fit for you guys anyway, because we don't have the minimum that you need to invest. And you can always ask them, like, what are they looking for? When any investors email me, the first thing I ask for is like, hey, what are you looking for? And then they come back and say, well, $5 million of revenue per year or this or that. They'll come up with some sort of criteria they need to make an investment to the committee. And then you go, sorry, we don't meet the criteria, but let's keep chatting later on. And you just push them away. The only time you maybe have a conversation is if, like, the stage they're investing in is a perfect match for where you are, and therefore, and you think it might be an opportunistic time to chat. But otherwise, they just, their job, by the way, they get paid to sit in rooms and meet with you guys and discuss all your businesses and learn, and then go invest in competitors, for example, like who are doing better. Like, that's their job. Their job is to, like, survey the landscape. So don't waste your time talking to investors unless you are at the point where you're fundraising. And then when you are fundraising, don't talk to one investor. Go, call up 5 or 10 that you've made or get introductions and go speak to all of them in 1 week and get it over and done with. And don't waste, but literally this constant treadmill that I see entrepreneurs on every week. It's investor meetings for months on end. It's just a waste of time. You should be focusing on your business, because I can tell you now, when you get the metrics right, when you get your KPIs right, and your North Star, they call it, and you know exactly how your business functions, the investors will be coming to you and they'll be closing deals within weeks. I mean, I closed the round for Civic because it was the right stage and the right price. That's the other thing, valuation. Like, entrepreneurs just get too, they overvalue themselves all the time, which is actually ridiculous. So raise as little as possible at the lowest possible price at the right time. That's what you should do. Like, you shouldn't try and raise more at the wrong price at the wrong time. Think about it. You combine those three things, and all that's going to happen is the wrong results in the end of the day.
Cool. And on that bombshell, I have to please welcome or say goodbye to Vinny. So please give him a round of applause. He's been great. Thanks, Vinny. Cool. Thanks, dude. Right. Well, let's stick to, you mentioned revenue streams earlier, Vuyo. So you've got direct common revenue stream. What happened? Oh, there you guys are. See, look, front and center. Hey? So let's talk about revenue streams, because I think when you're in a growth market, right, it's very easy to make money, or easier to make money. But when you're in a downturn market, that puts pressure on, the revenue streams, which, ordinarily would have been established prior to the fact. I mean, what's your advice, when you consult to 46,000 odd businesses, and you see the stuff that they're doing, and you've got a lot of data on your businesses? What do you see happening there, and what insights or lessons could you share with us?
Well, two main things. A lot of SMEs try to do too many things, way too many things, sell too many products or sell too many services instead of focusing on maybe a core 2 or 3 products and services and being the master at those 2 or 3 products or services. And dovetailing that is also figuring out of all your services and products, what makes you the most revenue? You know, there's no point selling 10 things and the 2 are the ones that are, you know, that 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule or law. Your 20 or 2 products out of your 10 are the ones that really make you the most money. Shouldn't you be focusing on those? All your revenue, all your resources backing that. So I find a lot of them make that mistake. And then the other side to it is also deconstructing your business, you know, thinking critically about what is it that you're selling. You know, for the longest time, I thought I was a technology business until I realized I'm a data business. And the minute I realized that, it changed my whole business model. Totally. I had to pivot. Purely because as a data company, I know the data that I have, I can then, you know, aggregate it. And a lot of third parties want that data and we can do and broker a lot of amazing deals. And that became literally the revenue stream, you know, that we now focused on. As opposed to the beginning where we were licensing our product. It was on a license deal. So it was 1 or 2 real revenue streams. And there was a risk to that, you know. Any of our 2 licensees, our large corporates, say if they came back after the license or the renewal period of the contract ended and they said, listen, it's great, but we're good. we don't need to license this product anymore. We're going elsewhere. I'm doomed. You know, 50% of my business is done. So I had to look at it differently, deconstruct my business. What am I actually doing? And a lot of people don't actually know what they're doing. You know, what business are you in? You know, have you asked yourself that question? So I find a lot of SMEs say, yeah, no, I'm selling stationery. And I go, really, are you? Are you really selling stationery? And sometimes they can't even answer what they do, you know.
Yeah, because I think that it's very important to land here. I love this point because there's the business that you are now, but then there's the business that you're becoming.
Yes.
And because markets or cycles are changing so quickly, especially in, you know, an exponential world that we're moving into, it's important to always be innovating, right? And you know, you hear this stuff all the time, and disruption's a very loaded word, but it's true. You know, it's like understanding what kind of business you're going to become, irrespective of what is happening, you know, market wise. I want to just bring Manus into the conversation here around de-risking your revenue streams in a downturn market. So, for instance, like, what could you do? I mean, do you look at partnerships? Do you look at raising capital? And in how many years have you been running Bean Counter? It's like 10 years plus, right? So probably more.
No, it's been operating for 9 years, but I've been involved for the last 2.5 years.
Okay, cool. So when you look at your client base, I mean, how are they de-risking their revenue streams? I mean, we've just come out of a really, really crap market, right? What did you see happening there on the ground?
Yeah. So first of all, myself, I believe in recurring revenue. That's like the best business model ever. I've been involved in many, and since I've got this model, I won't invest or look at any other business, and our businesses are also built around that. You sign up the client once, you can spend a lot of money getting them, and then you just need to look after them like crazy. And that's the model I like, and it's so risk averse because in up times, down times, if you can keep the client happy, you keep your revenue. But as far as our clients go and SMEs, they've definitely been a lot under pressure. But you also always need to innovate. And also I think many of the traditional businesses are now looking at recurring models to sustain themselves. A lot of project work converted to retainer work in many different industries, and I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Well, let's talk about retainers. How many of you are in a services type business? Okay, a lot of you. How many of you sell project work? Of those that put your hands up, project only work. Okay, how many of you are on retainers? Okay. So let's talk about that. If you are selling project work, how do you then package a new offer so that it's sellable as a retainer or a passive income stream?
Obviously, it needs to be a win both ways. So we came into the accounting industry about 3-4 years ago, and we said we're going to get rid of this per hour billing, and we're going to package it together in a product. When you walk into a furniture store, the sales guy don't tell you, yeah, like this chair is like, I don't know, like maybe 4,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000. It's not the way we shop. But that's the way it was with accounting firms. And we came and we packaged it, and the industry hated it, and our professional bodies hated it. But we just went for that. And in experience, what I can say is sometimes you're going to lose, sometimes you're going to win, but overall you're going to win. Because the moment you've got recurring prices and products, you can set out your cost and you can set out your profitability. But the problem with projects is you hire staff, you get a big project, then you lose that project. What do you do with the staff? You've got big offices. So you can scale cost as you scale recurring revenue, and that's the beautiful thing about it.
Cool. Jason, let's talk price points, right? So the first thing most people do is go, holy shit, my pipeline's drying up. Okay. What do I do? Well, first thing people go, maybe if I drop my price, especially if you're in a competitive market space, right? Where you're seeing potentially you've been charging a premium because of whatever the story was. I mean, how do you approach pricing strategy in a downturn market?
So how you approach it depends on how you approach starting the business. And, the analogy I'll use here is the vitamin pill, headache pill, right? They use this a lot in Silicon Valley to help us dumb entrepreneurs get the concept of a valuable product. The closer your product is to a vitamin, the more pain you're going to feel. The more pain you'll feel scaling, the more pain you'll feel in a downturn. And what is a vitamin? It's something that your customer doesn't notice if they don't take. Like you don't take it today, you don't notice. You don't take it for a week, you don't notice. Maybe after 6 months, you notice. A headache pill, you don't notice. You notice if you don't take it for 1 minute. So the closer you are to a headache pill, the closer you are to a product where your customers don't have the same power to just lever your pricing down when times are tough, because they feel pain when they're not taking your product. So there's got to be a second component that you add, which is nobody else can take that headache away. It's really hard for other people to take that headache away the way that you take the headache. As quick, as fast, as convenient, as whatever, but it's got to be hard for other people to take it away. And that's the moat that Warren Buffett talks about. And when you approached your business that way before you scaled, you had a headache pill product and you had a moat around it. Then when kind of winter comes, you're well prepared already with the most important preparation, which is a lot of people out there still need your product, even though times are tough, and they feel pain if they don't buy it. So they're going to cut, but they're going to cut other things first because they don't want a headache. So I'd say that's the starting point. And then when you do that, what you do is you shift away from pricing how much is a headache pill worth. And what you start pricing is how much is it worth to take away a headache. So you shift away from product-based pricing to value-based pricing.
Okay, well, let's talk about discounting, because I saw a really nice quote, or just I really love it. It's basically, if you know your true worth, you'll stop giving discounts. And if you're a startup, it's kind of like you say yes to everything and you're just fighting just to survive. Do you know what I mean? How many of you are startups, by the way? Hands up. Please, a lot of you, hey? So how many of you can relate? Okay. So let's talk around discounts. I mean, do you believe in them fundamentally? If you're a scale business, if you've designed the end in mind, you're hiring the best people, and I want to talk about resourcing again in a second, and you've done everything right? But the market changes, right? You start to lose your pipeline or whatever the story might be. How do discounts work? Yes or no? Oh, yeah.
They do, but it boils down to the why. So why are you discounting? Is it forever? What value? I think Jason touched on that. So the thing that you need to stay away from is commoditized business, right?
What's an example of that?
So there are many examples: bread, eggs, etc. In fact, interesting story. I meet a guy over the weekend. He's like, I've got a chicken farm. I get a lot of entrepreneurs always trying to get advice from me as if I'm the oracle. But I'll give it. I'll give my 2 cents worth. And the guy says, look, I want to build this business, eggs. Everybody eats eggs. And I go, yeah, they do. That's fair enough. And I said, but what's different? And he says, what do you mean? And I said, I went into Woolies in the morning, quail eggs, same little box. Okay? That little cotton. It's actually a plastic cotton, $75. Right? So why don't you grow quail eggs? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have to use a lot of room or space on the farm, da, da, da. And I said, exactly. So there are certain businesses where we all go into the similar business. I mean, even if it's cleaning, you can clean a different way. It's about that value. And if you discount, it's fine to discount to get into the market. So sometimes you're a startup, nobody knows you. You need to prove that your worth, or proof of concept, or proof of business. So discounting for that reason over a short term, then there's value in doing that. But it's the why. Why are you actually discounting? For what purpose? What is the end goal? What is the outcome? But to have a pure discount strategy, it's a downward spiral. We talk about services. I read about an interesting business now where you can even productize. So I bought a shaving kit, subscription model for shaving. I mean, who would have thought?
Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, Dollar Shave Club. Well, I use the black one. It's called Walker and Co. But same thing, The guy's 34-year-old.
It's better.
It's different. It works for me. The guy's a 34-year-old, and Procter & Gamble offered him $500 million and he said no. Right? So this whole idea of subscription just being useful for services, not anymore. You can have a subscription business in a product-based environment, right? As long as you're providing value. So a lot of people, I say, think critically about your business. What value? I keep going back, and I'm going to hammer it. Value and be paranoid. I'm super paranoid every day. I wake up, cold sweats, sleep, cold sweats. And I'm thinking, shucks, who's gonna take this business away from me? You have to be paranoid in this environment consistently. From the beginning, when you start, to even when you're mildly successful, and I put that in inverted commas. If you're not paranoid, you're going to be in trouble. There's nothing worse than actual success, because your pride and ego gets in the way, and you start having that strut. And if you're black, you have a rise. You're having a better walk. That swagger one. Success can breed contempt. Can also breed a false sense of value in terms of what you do, what you're providing out in the market. So always be paranoid. But to answer the question, discount, do it. I did it. It got to a point, the second negotiation I had with one of the banks, they were trying to squeeze us right down. I looked at them and I said, no, it's not going to happen. My CTO looked at me, kicked me under the table, and I said, no, but the fact that they bought in the first time and they saw the value and they want to now renew, why are we going down?
So I suppose this is a great point to talk about partnerships, right? So, Marnus, when you were building the Bean Counter and then, of course, your exit to Transaction Capital, how important were partnerships in that business? And more broadly, how should one approach partnerships when it comes to scale? Because you can scale really, really quickly. If you got 46,000 SMEs, which that's kind of a nice carrot to dangle in front of a bank. Do you know what I mean? So, and partnerships, we've just done a partnership with the Mesh Clubs. We're doing all the media and content for them, hence why you guys are all here tonight. But going back to you, Marnus, partnerships. What's your story there?
Yeah, so equity partnerships, I always see entrepreneurs, they're so keen to do an equity investment, to tell your friends you've done a big deal, but those investments rarely work out. Most of them will sell back in a couple of years. So I always say, when you don't know the guys or you don't need the capital investment, don't do it. If there's a great partnership, go into a joint venture. You've got something, I've got something, let's do something together. We share profits, we share revenue. And if it works 2 years down the line, then we go into a business together. But entrepreneurs jump into equity partnerships all the time, and it very seldom works. So I'm very against that. When we did the deal with TC, we said 1 + 1 must give 10. Because if 1 and 1 is 2, we can do it with anyone. And that's what we felt we could get right. And a year later, it definitely was the right decision.
Jason, what's your view on partnerships?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in partnerships, the right ones. You can burn a lot of time trying to structure partnerships. So my view on partnerships is less serendipitous and more strategic. It is, know the business model you're trying to scale, know the things that you could best get through the right partners, and then basically headhunt. Obviously start with your networks, but the point is be targeted as opposed to primarily exploratory. You'll do a lot of exploring, you'll have a lot of coffee, some things will happen serendipitously, but I'm a believer of intentional business building. And so, when you can get the 1 + 1 = 10, most often that doesn't happen by accident because of a coffee you happen to have. It does happen that way sometimes, but that's not a strategy to scale a business on. Know what you're trying to build and then go find the people who can add what you can't possibly add to the degree they can.
Matt, can I say something? I think the other problem is when you want to partner with someone, everyone is so eager to talk business. Everyone talks, but no one walks the talk. And especially with these big corporates, they aspiring entrepreneurs or established entrepreneurs, they get into this space and they tell the entrepreneur all these big dreams. I'm a bank. I've got so many clients. If you're on board with us, we're going to do these amazing things. And very seldom they don't do anything. Yeah. And especially if they take equity, it's such a big risk. So again, I would say just work with them, and very soon you're going to find out very few actually do what they said they're going to do.
100% agree. So just as a tip, try and structure in a point of commitment, like on day 2. So there's some step they have to take that's going to cause them some pain. And
scale is hard. I think that from the questions I saw and also our experience working with SMEs, like entrepreneurs struggle with scale, and the startup part is the sexy bit, creating a product, selling it to the first early customers. But when it comes to really growing your business, those are skills that people don't naturally have, and it's really good to get forums like this where people can learn a little bit more about how to actually get those skills and scale their businesses.